Hello, welcome back to my channel. So this is a tutorial video, but I'm actually going to shoot it kind of like a typical vlog, mostly because I'm con crunching like crazy and it's a time crunch sort of thing. So yeah, I am remaking all of my display boards for Crunchyroll Expo, and I've had a lot of people ask me how I make my boards in the past. So here's a full-fledged tutorial of how I design them, have them printed, and assemble them. So let's get into it. So if you've watched previous vlogs, you'll know this is the booth setup that I'm going with for Crunchyroll. And I like it so much that I'm probably going to adapt this into future bigger setups. So all of these display boards, with the exception of the clear stickers, is going to be replaced. Mostly because, you know, obviously this one doesn't work as a horizontal board, but also because a lot of them, like the shaker charms, have been banged up, and like this one doesn't fit all the charms I actually have, and I decided to just kind of adjust the look a little bit. So let's see where we're going. Okay, so again, quick and dirty. Usually I would have done like a talking video as well to go in the corner of this, but very fast, and I've already made the displays. So I'm gonna show you how I do them from scratch. And these are just how I make my own. Obviously you can do these any way you want. And just for clarification, I work with a local printer, and they have the capability of printing as large as 13 by 19. That is my ideal board size, though they were out of that size when I needed these printed, so they're being printed on 12 by 18 cardstock. I know there are printers like the Canon Pixma that can print up to a 13 by 19 size. I don't know how well it does with a thick cardstock, but there are definitely options. You can talk to local printers if you have the capability of making the display boards yourself at home, even better. So we're gonna start off, let's replicate the acrylic keychains. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and say that everything in this that you see, I've done in InDesign. And I'm a graphic designer, so I like to work in InDesign. You could definitely do this in Photoshop or maybe Illustrator. I don't think it would be easy to do in Procreate because I really like the like snapping and all that, all the guidelines, so that everything gets lined up perfectly that Adobe offers. So everything you see here I've made in InDesign except for this. This is done in Photoshop just because I want it to be a certain style that matches my branding, and I just place it in. So we're gonna start by making a new file, Control N, and I already have 12 by 18 up, but this is horizontal, so we're gonna switch it to vertical because that's how most of my boards are. And it has a small margin so that I know where the white space is gonna go, no bleed or anything, and create. So here we go. And I like to start off by doing a colorful background. Normally, I would do this in a slightly different way. We're just gonna go with, well, I don't wanna do any of these colors, they're too bright. Normally, I would use the eyedropper tool and place an existing graphic of mine and then pick from it, but I'm, for the sake of time, just going to steal this. And then I like to make sure it's aligned to the page. Boop, boop. So here you can see this is the edge of the paper and this is the edge of the margin. And this pink space goes all the way out. And I'm just going to close it in. And I'd also like to say that this is not going to be any sort of InDesign tutorial. I think you can probably search for InDesign tutorials on YouTube. So I'm going to lock that, and for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to use the text box for everything else. So I like to do a title. We're going to censor that. We'll keep it Minion Pro for now, that's fine. make it big. And I guess we can make it white just to match. I'm not going to bother with any of my coloring or anything beyond the pink. So you don't have to put your title on the board. You can definitely make a separate tag for it if it is a concern for spacing, because I know that I like to try and fit mine on the 14-inch grids that I have. So this is about the space that would fit exactly on a grid, and then there's excess. But for my shaker charms, I'll do an entire page. So I know people don't read. If you ever shown an artist alley or anything of the sort, people don't like to read. But just in case they actually do, I like to put the prices on the board as well. So my keychains are 12 each, or 2 for $20. Do the same thing here. Make it a little bit smaller. Usually I would highlight these, so let's see, on the actual one I've highlighted the colors. So they're a little more eye-catching than just the white. But the fun part is making the grid. So I've seen some people do this where, let's do it rounded. I've seen some people do this where they've done just a huge space. That's very small. There we go. That's too big. And they'll just fit their keychains in willy-nilly. This is totally fine. I actually considered doing this for this display, but I really like having individual little spots for each of my keychains. I don't know why. So we're going to change that. And my keychains are typically about 2.5 to 3 inches in size, but it's easier for me to fit 4 boxes across if I do them like 2.7 inches instead of the 3. So we're going to use that little measuring device right there and hold shift until it's a square at 2.7. Do a fill of white. And there's your first grid. And then I'll copy and paste that, line it up. And for the ease of it, do it one more time. And this is my favorite part. So you can already see the guide has them centered with each other. And if you scooch it in, it's gonna snap to where they're the same width apart. And then you just slide those in until they're centered entirely. So this is actually spaced a little too much. So scoot those in until they're even closer. In the past, I've definitely added names to each of my keychain designs, but this ended up posing a problem for a couple of reasons, because if I sold out of a design and didn't end up restocking it and introduced a new design, I'd have to like cover up the name just so I can put the new design there. So I've opted for the numbering system, and I think it's actually helped a lot with trying to find stuff behind the scenes. And we're definitely going to test that at Crunchyroll, because I haven't had a lot of experience with it so far since I decided to implement it. So normally I would put the names up here, but that causes problems because then the hook also goes up here. So I'd have to like leave extra space. So we're going to say the hook goes right here. And what I like to do is add in a little pink square right here, so it acts like a notch. And this doesn't look like anything now, but when you view it in an overprint, you can see it's all cut out nicely. And I didn't do rounded corners on the ones that I did here. They're just square. So this looks pretty nice. So then when you do that across the board, it's going to look nice and consistent like this. And then, however you want to number your items, I'll just type right in here, A1. Then let's center that. And then I like to have things really centered, so
There we go. Kind of some finagling. There's definitely easier ways to do this. So now that that is done, then I just copy and paste it. Make sure it lines up with the others. Scoot that out a little bit so that rounded corner doesn't make the edge look weird. And then you just go in and change the numbers for each row. 2, 3, 4. Great. So then you just repeat this step until you have as many squares as you want for your keychains. You'll end up with something like this. And then you just send them off to print. So as I mentioned, I get my boards and everything I get printed with a local printer, and I would ideally like to do 13 by 19 in size, but that's not what they had in stock. So these are 16 point 12 by 18 cardstock, and 16 point is like a nice thick business card. So these are pretty durable, and they don't print full bleed, so I'm gonna have to trim these edges, and then we gotta assemble them. So here are all the boards already cut and trimmed, all the white spaces removed, and they're ready to be assembled. For my vinyl stickers, I like to use glue dots to assemble these, and all I do really is stick them to the back of the sticker and attach it to the board. Pretty simple, and they're very durable, hard to yank off, which is nice. I always like to make sure my displays are theft-proof. And for pins, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just poke them through, and rather than using the rubber clutches I packaged them with, I'm using the gold pin backs because they are harder to pull off from the front. I know that people have heard of others who will just kind of walk up and yank a pin off the board. So this at least kind of deters that because they are a little harder to remove by just sliding them off. For keychains and shaker charms, I like to use little command hooks. Now the command hooks come with the double-sided sticky adhesive to attach them to the boards. I've also used hot glue for this. So I will make sure to place the command strip adhesive where I want it to go. You press it down to make sure it holds, and then you just remove that front piece and attach the hook. The clear ones are nice because they go with any display style. Once the hook is in place, I add an extra jump ring to the keychain, so I'm not using the key rings that the keychain comes with. And I close that and I slide it right onto the hook. When it's time to take the display off to sell, I just remove that ring. Now these are still very easy to steal. You can just lift those off the hook. So once the keychain is on, I will close the hook with a little daub of hot glue. This has been an incredible addition to my displays because it still allows the keychains to be displayed where you can shake them, and they are not easy to steal. And here's the whole setup with the brand new boards. Everything is in its place, everything has a number, and it's very easy for the customer and myself and a helper to understand which pieces a customer wants based on the numbering system.
And there you have it. Hopefully that was easy enough to follow. If you guys have any questions, obviously leave me a comment down below. And I think that's pretty much the end of this video. So I will see you guys next week in a Artist Alley vlog at Crunchyroll Expo. And until then, I will see you around. Bye!